Last thing of the week, I promise. And that is in regards to a thing we teased last week.
Literally at the end of the episode, I turn on my phone and it's like BioShock Collector's Edition announced.
Yeah, we had the embargo for this, and then it leaked out anyway, but whatever. We took the high road and chose not to disclose it. Not that it's a surprise to anyone.
you should.
This has leaked like 7 times in the last
This is worse than Red
6
Dead
months.
backwards compatibility.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So the BioShock collection is a real thing. It is coming to PS4 and Xbox One. It is all 3 BioShock campaigns, no BioShock 2 multiplayer, and it's all the DLC. So Minerva's Den and Burial at Sea and just everything. All the DLC is there.
It's got all the Ps, all the FPS.
1080p, 60 frames, and it's going to be $60, and it's out in September. So we know that I don't like remasters. All 3 of these, I'm pretty sure all 3 of these are already backwards compatible. I need to double check. But if you haven't played them, total no-brainer.
Get this.
Absolutely grab
And especially
it.
if you haven't played BioShock 2 and Infinite's DLC. They're both really
That's
good.
true. Yeah, Minerva's Den.
Yeah, Minerva's Den, and then Burial at Sea. 1 and 2, especially 2, in my opinion.
One, I actually didn't like the first part.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy.
It was kind of boring. Yeah, but part 2, it's a stealth game.
Yeah.
It's very.
You play as
it's
Elizabeth,
secretly a stealth game.
Yeah.
And it's really, really good.
Yeah, those are some of the coolest stories.
But it doesn't really look like they've done any touch-up work to the graphics. They just up-resed it, so pretty much just looks like a PC game. Yeah, PC version, which again, it's not a bad thing, but don't come in expecting.
Those games were already beautiful when they came out, so
Art direction-wise, sure,
Yeah.
but they're still, BioShock 1's 2007, so it was Unreal Engine, I think 2.5 or 3 at that point.
Yeah, it was especially noticeable when in Infinite you went back to Rapture. And you're like, oh, this looks so much better than what
it used to look like.
Yeah. Did I spoil something?
Yeah.
If you have, okay.
Well, but
All
I'm
right.
just saying, if they should get it if they haven't played it, and now
I think there's statute of limitations there. I think I'm fine.
When did Infinite come
direct
out?
your complaints to Marty.
3 years ago?
It was
It was 3 years
beginning
ago.
of-
No, it was early 2013.
Hey, Mass Effect 1, Saren's the bad guy. Sorry to spoil
I
it.
don't know.
I'm kind of on Marty's side here. Like,
Snape kills Dumbledore.
you should have played that game already by now. If you're listening to this podcast,
Bruce
you probably played
Bruce
it.
Willis was dead the whole time.
In
I
Die
get, where,
Hard.
I get where Ryan's coming from, but I mean, don't dwell
In
on
Terminator
it.
2, the Terminator
Can't
from
change it.
Terminator 1 is the good guy.
The girl in the crying game has a penis.
If you watch the tape, you die 7 days later in the ring.
That's just the plot of the movie.
Rosebud is a sled.
Boom.
During the movie, you actually watched the tape.
Oh man, we just lost so many listeners.
Well,
It was great.
I apologize if I spoiled it for you.
We just lit the podcast on fire and walked out the door.
Yeah.
It was great. Like that scene in Game of Thrones went, just kidding.
Nope.
You're crossing a line.
Man. So yeah, look for the one other thing I just want to say about, I mean, nobody wants to hear me complain about remasters anymore, but I will say I am genuinely puzzled that this is coming out in September. It's a collection of 3 old, like this is a perfect July or August release when there's very little else out. Either, I mean, if you haven't played one or more of these games, you're likely to grab it. But even if you have, if there's nothing else out, like in July or August, you might grab it. Where in September you might be like, I'm gonna grab Rise of
Fantasy
Iron for
15,
Destiny
yeah.
or Final Fantasy 15
When's XCOM 2
or
coming
Forza
to
Horizon
consoles?
3 or Recore. What?
XCOM 2 to consoles? Is that in September?
I don't remember when they said.
Because they could be competing with their own releases at that point. But I don't know when that XCOM 2 is coming to consoles.
Yeah, it's a good question.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing 2K likes to do anyway. I mean, October is always NBA 2K and WWE. They're always the same month. But
And this year it's Mafia as well.
that's right. The 2K has 3 games out in October this year.
Yeah.
And I do want to caveat like this discussion with like we do tend to not hate on remasters but criticize remasters a lot, and we don't seem to be criticizing this one. I think by and large they're fine if they're giving gamers a good value for what it's is in
absolutely.
the package, right? And this is a pretty good value, right? Like, one, personally, I love BioShock, and I never played BioShock 2, so this is a good deal for me because you're essentially paying $20 for 3 games plus all their content, which would, if you added all that stuff up when it came out, it would have been way more than $60.
That's not how math works in the video game space, because that's not what they're worth anymore.
No, totally, but that's what I mean is like if you had played it yeah, sure, games depreciate over time, or you can get them used later on, sure.
Yeah.
But like the value still stands. At one point, people did pay that amount for it.
Yes.
So you're getting a better deal now with this package. And if you never played it, then it's even more added value to you, right?
Wasn't the Uncharted collection like $40, Marty? Guy from PlayStation Podcast.
Yeah.
Pretty sure.
It was.
I think it was. Yeah, I think it was budget price.
And I'm not saying it's a total apples to apples comparison, but
sort of, yeah.
60 is not the worst
Three below
thing in the
games.
world,
Yeah.
but I don't know. There's nothing really new here. It's just doing you the favor of bundling it all together instead of you having to go out and buy them all individually yourself for probably less than $60 if you wanted to do the work yourself.
Does this only come into consoles, or was PC also one of the platforms?
There is a PC version.
That one's
as well.
weird to me because it's just like, why don't you just buy it on PC now?
Well, the PC versions of Infinite is actually, I think it's totally untouched. Didn't the press release say that?
Yes,
Remember that? Where
correct.
it's like, we didn't do anything to the PC version
Yeah.
because it's still
Great.
up to modern spec.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
I love BioShock so much that I'm okay with this remaster. And the only other remaster that I think I would be okay with, and I've said it before, is
Mass Effect.
Yeah.
That's what everybody wants.
If they announce a remaster after I play the stupid game, I'm gonna be very angry. I'm not actually gonna be angry.
Well, if Peter Moore's comments are any indication,
We'll
you
never
will
be
not
saying
have
that.
to worry
Yeah.
about that.